Today we're cracking open the Sunstone Grenache Rosé. So a rosé is essentially, a lot of times it's wine that's a red wine. What they do is they just simply pull the wine before it has a chance to change color. The color actually comes from the grape skins. And so a rosé is essentially a red wine, and they just don't allow it to change color. You don't typically want to age a rosé just because these are not really aging type wines, but we just hung on to it in the cellar and just kind of forgot it, and now we just found it and decided to drink it. So we're gonna have a little quick sip, give you a quick breakdown, and just a quick little story about rosé. We started craving some stuff a little bit more than just super sweet wines, and rosés are great transition wines if you're ever trying to get into like drier stuff like white wines or red wines. Rosés are perfect because they're a nice blend of sweet right up into, you get right into those dryness, and it's your, what I would say, level one.
Sure. I mean, some people have an acquired taste for things that are more dry, like when they're getting into wine. There'll be like this discovery phase where you might be an anomaly in what the norm is, or people that don't like dry wines typically because they come from sweeter wines. You might end up figuring out that taste on your palate is much more satisfactory than having something that's just nothing but juice.
So typical reason why you don't want to age a rosé is just because they're not really built for aging, since they don't have any of the, since they don't really have the tannins or the complexity needed. These wines are typically good to go right when you buy them. You can really just drink them. This is supposed to be a little bit sweeter, and the reason why we ended up cracking up a rosé is just because it was really hot today. And when we first got into wine, the director and myself, we ended up actually opening up some bottles that we had actually purchased from this same area, and we ended up just kind of going through them because it was such a hot day. It was just an easy drinking. Now, we definitely hung on to this one a little bit too long, so if anything, this video is going to be called "Don't Hold On to Certain Wines." Not all wines should be aged. Perfect example, rosés, don't age them. Drink them when you got them. They're usually good to go right when you have them, right when they're bottled. You can pretty much just drink them. So I'm still going to give some tasting notes. It could be that the bottle, I mean, is from 2021, so it might just have a lot of, it might just be very tight. What I mean by that is that it needs really like a little bit of kind of, essentially if you're watching what the director's doing is just kind of more or less moving it vigorously so that you can kind of break up the molecules in the wine, and hopefully it'll taste a little bit better.
Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to swirl it around so that air gets mixed in with basically the wine. Basically, a bottle that has already been opened and they put the cork back in and they save it for another time. Typically, what you want to do is you want to let it open up. You have to impart more air into the wine. People will say you need to aerate it. You have to open it up so that way it can mellow out the flavors and balance them out. And it'll basically, whatever tannins that are in there that are imparting like bad flavors or unwanted flavors will kind of mellow out, and you'll actually be able to taste the wine better. And it might just be that we're experiencing because it's been aged for so long, and maybe we didn't keep it at optimal temperature,
So aerating it already has already improved the nose on this significantly. It's a lot more floral now, whereas all I was smelling initially was just booze. This is actually a lot more floral. I'm hoping that that's also translated in the actual drink itself. So quick little sip.
Yeah, right off the bat, it was pretty confrontational, but now that we beat it up a little bit, it's kind of submitting. It is actually getting better now that with some aeration and stuff, like once you're opening it up, yeah.
So that right there, that's a perfect example of what can happen to you when you don't really know a whole ton about wine. I was ready to write this off so quickly, but the fact that it's a 2021 and it's a rosé, I said, oh man, this definitely just went past its prime. However, by simply aerating it, again, vigorously, we're not giving it a light twirl. Like if you don't, I mean, look at that. Look how high the liquid is getting on his glass. I mean, literally, just, you want to see those swishes. You need to mix in the air with your wine. Helps break up all the molecules, and it helps break down everything, so it kind of just opens up on, and this really needed it, and I mean a lot. It's really needed it.
Yeah. Again, opening up. You'll keep hearing people, I think it needs to open up. You'll hear wine snobs say that all the time, and most of the time they probably don't even know why the hell they're doing it. They've just heard it regurgitated by other wine snobs saying, "Oh, it's got to open up," you know. So
Poor choices where there's no snobbery, just drinkery.
which is that's just another reason why people typically don't want to get into wine, because they see it as like this high-end thing, but it's just like, dude, you can take a bottle that you get at Albertsons, Kroger, Ralph's, wherever, and you could toss that thing in the blender, aerate the crap out of it, you pour it back into your glass with some ice cubes, and it'll taste significantly better than when you cracked it open.
So thanks for tuning into this episode of Poor Choices. So remember, you can always drink this the snobby way.
Or you could drink it however the hell you like.
So should we just slam it? Drink it like